What's that sound? It's For Amusement Only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast.
Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. As part of the Coin Op Carnival 2019 release tour, I was in Houston, Texas last weekend, and our initial tour stop at the Burke Baker Planetarium was canceled, and therefore we had to find another space. We managed to put together stops at the Bedrock City comic shop, as well as the Game Preserve, their new location that was near NASA. Both of these locations were fantastic. Ryan and I had a great time and were able to get the word out to some of the Houston area folks, and luckily there were a few that did get the message about the change in venue and were able to meet us. Thank you to everyone who came out and who was willing to make that last-minute change with us. And we had a great time in Houston, and it was great to see Ryan again. That was our last tour stop together for the year, unfortunately. However, this weekend, August the 11th, in fact, I will be in Roanoke, Virginia, at the Roanoke Pinball Museum, and I will be giving a presentation on the making of Coin Op Carnival, as well as available for a book signing afterwards. Please come down and see me and say hello. Let me know if you heard about it on the show, or if you happen to be in the area, or what have you. So I've been working very hard on multi-races, getting it ready for the York show. This is going to be its debut show, and I've got 10 games which are built into it at the moment. I am going to leave it at 10, despite my inclination to continue to add as many as possible, just because there are some things physically that I need to do to the game in order to get it ready for York. So one of those was to add score and instruction card displays similarly to the ones that are used on the multi-bingo. I have picked out a different style of display package for that. Unfortunately, one of the elements of that display package are the ports that connect it to the computers or other processors which are sending the images or videos to those displays. Unfortunately, the way the package is constructed, those things stick out quite a ways from the underside of the display. I thought I was being clever to get these all-in-one displays that had mounting holes built in, but unfortunately, I'm either going to have to route out some of the wood of the apron in order to make them sit flush, or I'm going to have to leave them as is, where they're currently angled slightly on one side. It's a bit of a bummer, but it'll be okay. So next up, I've got to route out button indentations for the various play control buttons that the players will use to interact with the game. In a worst case scenario, if I can't get this working right, and woodworking, totally my specialty, it's not at all, I'm terrible at woodworking, so if I can't figure out the router that I have and how to use it effectively, then I'm not going to ruin the only lock bar that I have attempting to make it work. Instead, I'm going to perform quite a few tests and then see if I can figure out a way to do this safely, and then I will add in the holes for the buttons. In a worst case scenario, I believe I mentioned that I'll have the keyboard for the computer that drives the game with me, and I've mapped those buttons to some of the keys on the keyboard. That would be a bit of a letdown, so I'm not planning on that at the moment, but it's a fallback in case everything else fails. The multi-bingo, I went through some testing. In fact, quite a lot of testing. I went through and tested all 142 games to make sure that I had not introduced a bug in starting a game or entering a game. And the reason why I wanted to look into this was at Texas I had 2 mystery crashes, and I think I may have resolved it on the show floor and forgotten about it. But I went through and heavily tested all of the startup procedures for every game, as well as a lot of the in-between code Anyway, the result of which is that there are no crashes, so I must have already fixed it, or else the crash was triggered by something else, which I am not clever enough to realize. So the multi-bingo should be ready to go. I may take one more crack at adjusting the gate switch, because now if you do a very soft plunge, it will not register, and I must have it register in order for the ball counting to work properly. This is a rare occurrence, but you have to really plunge it very softly in order to make it miss. So I think it'll be okay, but I want to be sure. So I may take another crack at that. Multi-races, in other news, is totally ready to go as far as mechanically. It's just those cosmetic tweaks that are necessary in order to make it look more polished, basically. So those two will be going, along with Dennis Stodle's Universal 5-Star, which Sophie finished fixing up recently. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing how people enjoy all three of those games. And in between, I've been working on a modern pinball game, and that's been going well. So I'm going to keep, plugging away at everything that I can, as much as I can, and see how far I can go. In other news, I did some work on a Spotum. This was a converted Funway, which is a Bally Bingo, and the conversion is just a scrape and paint. It's not a full conversion with a new playfield and so forth. It uses the same playfield as a lot of Funway, but the backglass artwork has been doctored to say Spotum, which would have made it legal in whatever locality it was operated within. The game had sat for many, many years and just needed a general tune-up. There were a couple things which had cold solder joints or just were not properly tweaked, and so I tweaked them. I did some cleaning of the search discs, as well as cleaned up the score counter disc in a lot of Funway, Barrel of Fun, and the other fun game. I forget the last one's name. Instead of replays, there's a score displayed on the back glass. However, the score is actually just a code for a replay. So the score goes up to 20,000 points, and each 100 points counts as a replay. In Funway and the Spotum that I worked on, when you drop a coin to start the game, it will automatically tick down your score until it has enabled all 6 cards. This is a 6 card. The yellow line at the next to bottommost row on every card is enabled automatically. This is not a buy-in feature like Superline on the 1976 6 cards. It's just there and already qualified. 3 scores is 4, 4 scores is 5. So this game also has a spotted number unit, and this operates differently than I thought it did. It will spot the center number on any given card randomly. However, it only spots that center number on that card. It does not spot it throughout the entire game like most spotted number units do. So this is a change and something that I'll need to go into the multi-bingo and change for games like Bright Spot, Funway, a lot of fun, Barrel of Fun, and that other one that I can't remember. Most everything else operates on the basis of enabling the spotted number everywhere, and pretty much everything else I have a lot more experience with than a lot of fun in Funway. This is actually the first Funway that I've worked on, and so there were some things that I was surprised to learn. The biggest deal with this game, though, was the layout and the fuse holders. They were actually on the back door instead of inside the central cavity like in most bingos. So the fuse holders, unfortunately, had mostly given up the ghost. And so with some tweaking and some coaxing, that cleaning that I mentioned, the game roared back to life. It was very exciting. So cleaned the playfield, re-rubbered it, all that good stuff. And it was ready for the owner's birthday, and they were very excited. So I'm very pleased that went well, and there's quite a lot going on, and quite a lot that I still have to do. So I shall leave you for tonight, but thank you very much for listening. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can get in touch with me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to me on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Cast, via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to me on my website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.